So before we let you go, I have a couple more questions. So first of all is, how did you change your visa status? Tell us a little bit about that journey, because I know it's a big part of your brand, and also because so many people are stuck. So you touched upon the O1 and EB1A. Just in very succinct way, tell us how people can explore those options a little bit better. Should they go to a lawyer or should they go to a coach like you? What's the first step?
I think the first step is figuring out where you are in your journey. If somebody is a student, the natural progression is getting from the student visa to a work visa. And there are two options for that,
Mm-hmm.
H1 or O1. H1B goes through lottery. If they're working for a cap extent, it doesn't go through lottery. So those are the, I think, two to three pathways for that. But most important thing is securing a priority date. If somebody is born in India or China, if their country of birth is that, the most critical, most important thing is to, as fast as they can, secure a priority date. And what I mean by that is getting their I-140 approved through any of the employment-based category, because you can basically use the same date and port it to any other category. And that's what I did. I
Oh.
got my NIW approval, which is the EB2 National Interest Waiver category. You don't need your employer to apply for you. You don't need even a job offer to apply for it. I did that because somebody in my network, when I was in a volunteering call, randomly barged in and asked me what my visa was. And I was like, why are you asking me this? Right? Like, why should I tell you this? And then they were like, do you know about this like national interest waiver category? I think you could really benefit from it. And that was my moment of aha moment of being like, oh, okay, what is this? So I sort of stumbled on most of the things I got into through immigration. So I got my priority date. It was EB2, the regular 130 odd year wait time category, but I had a date. And when the time came, I upgraded to EB1B. I actually immigrated as an outstanding researcher. I did not have a PhD or a ton of publications. It's a huge myth that you need to be a professor, you need to be in academics to get this green card in the EB1B category. So being an industry researcher is a huge opportunity. Again, overlooked by many. I just knew one person who did it, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should try, right? So I went for it. I actually applied the first time thinking I would not get approval, but I would get a clear decision from USCIS describing why they rejected me. So I can just focus on that because it was so unclear and overwhelming. So that was very helpful because when I applied, I was much earlier than when I would have thought I was ready. And the approval came through in the first attempt, no RFE, nothing. And I was pretty much in shock. I think I was in shock for a year and a half because I never talked about it until that point. I got my green card in 2022. I didn't talk about it until last year because I was in disbelief. I was like, I didn't
They'll
see this
take it back.
coming, right? I didn't see this coming. And at that time, I already had
Yeah.
a plan B of moving to Canada. I applied for my express entry. I got my MBA because I wanted to change careers in Canada. I was preparing for plan B because I thought that was going to be more probable. But the EB1 worked out. I think, again, starting early, taking a chance on yourself instead of waiting for somebody else to take that chance on you. Those are things that are very important. And I think going for a coach versus attorney, unfortunately, attorneys, even though they have the legal understanding, don't understand STEM, don't understand the subject matter expert. When my younger sister went for her consultation with an attorney, they rejected her case like left and right, like multiple attorneys. And then I got so furious, I was like, okay, roll up our sleeves. We are going to DIY the whole thing and get it done on our own. That's how I got into it. It wasn't an intention of starting it as a business. My own family needed it, and I was aware of enough. I had enough awareness to do something about it. So I went all in. She got her approval in 3 days. She didn't have a PhD, not a ton of publications. In fact, she still is a research coordinator. So how do you justify that a coordinator can qualify for this, right? It's all goes back to compelling narratives, how you understand your subject and position it for somebody to understand it better.
That's
And
awesome.
unfortunately, I wish attorneys were perfect, right? I want to just give it, forget about it, and move on. But even with an attorney, you need to have that support from somebody who understands immigration, has gone through it, and can help you position your narratives in the best way possible. Honestly, Pressure, I've worked with so many Fortune 500 company
Mm.
employees who had their attorneys draft the petitions. When I look at it, I'm like,
Mm.
it's definitely getting rejected because they don't talk about anything other than the business revenue, which US government doesn't care about, right? USCIS wants to know
Yeah.
how Pressure as a STEM professional is going to benefit the country. And that's not about the revenue. I think there's a lot of framework change that needs to happen. And I got into it that way. A couple of career coaching clients of mine needed the similar support. They were like, I will pay you anything. I just need you to do this because I know you can do this. And again, goes back to networking because these are things that my clients gave me as reflections, feedback of what they think I can do. And I just ran with it and started helping. I think so far I've helped about like 30 people in the immigration space. It is the most challenging, but also the most rewarding work because you're literally
That's so
changing
true.
lives, right? Literally getting them out of mental health, I don't know, like burnout, frustration, anxiety,
Yeah.
everything that comes with it.
Yeah. And you're also shrinking like 100-year timeline, right?
Yes, I think that's where
Like
it is.
it's a
Every time
long,
an
long
approval
wait.
comes, I mean, I did get one denial, but that was also a great moment because that person thought they wouldn't even qualify. But USCIS accepted two of the
Mm.
three criteria they needed to meet, and they were almost there. And I was like, at least you know exactly where your, flaw is.
Work
They
you
didn't
are.
spend a ton of money on attorney. They DIY'd the whole thing. It's still a great learning compared to spending
That's
thousands
awesome.
on attorneys thinking that's enough. You putting money is not
Yeah.
enough. It's like going to a personal trainer, right? You can pay them all you want, but
Yeah.
until you show up, you take charge,
Do the
nothing is
work.
going to work. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Excellent. This was so, so valuable. And we can have a totally different conversation just on this topic. So I love it. My last question to you, Tamanna, two questions, sorry, and two more questions. One is how can our audience members find you and work with you? And what are some ways that people can get more engaged with your content and with your work?
So right now, I'm still an amateur in the digital space. Until last year, 80% of my business was 100% word of mouth. Everybody who knew me referred clients, clients who worked with me referred clients. So I'm sort of being more digitally present now than before. LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
is where I'm most active. I don't have other social media presence, mostly because, again, I have a day job, I have other commitments. So I try to keep it
Yeah.
as minimalistic as possible at the channels that matter most to me in my, the way I'm serving the clients. I coach
Mm.
STEM women and minorities on career and business and also immigration. The business is a very small part of it. I just have like a bunch of friends who are trying to do something. They don't know what it is, and I'm trying to see if I can like help them create something out of their ideas. But career and immigration are more formal programs. I have a team of 12 coaches. I always like to say it's more of a side hustle for many than a day job for one person business. So all my coaches have their
Mm.
own day jobs, thriving careers. You guys can find me on LinkedIn and on my website, which is super new and just launched, sparkcareers.us, where we have program information and everything you need to know about Spark.
I love it. Excellent.